It's happy when Day of the Dead is coming because you feel like you're gonna see them. No, you're not gonna see them physically, but you're gonna feel them.
Have you ever seen colorful skulls, candles, and marigold flowers pop up around Halloween and wondered, what's that all about? Well, those are a few components of what might be my new favorite holiday, Dia de los Muertos. Even though this holiday isn't new at all, it's rooted in traditions from the Aztecs. I had heard of Dia de los Muertos for years. I understood the general concepts around it, but this was the first year I have felt really pulled towards it and connected to it. So I thought it would be really special for us to have a conversation about Dia de los Muertos with someone really special in my life who knows the most about the holiday in my circle, Laura Barrios. But before we get started, let's take a moment to land here together with 3 deep breaths. So just take a moment to notice where your body makes contact with the earth. Notice all points touching the earth. And take a big breath in. And a big breath out. Again, inhale, fill your chest, fill your belly with air. Exhale, open your mouth, let it all go. One more inhale. And exhale. Return to where you connect to the earth beneath you as you start to return to this physical space. Laura, thank you so much for being here. Do you mind sharing just a little bit about where you're from for listeners?
I am from Merida, Yucatan, Mexico, the south part of Mexico, and I was born there and I was raised there. So I came to the United States when I was 26 years old. So I'm pretty much know everything about my culture, and I've been with my family around, and we have all the celebrations.
What Laura didn't mention is that when she moved to the U.S., she lived with my family and really helped raise my brother, my sister, and I. And she is someone who really helps me feel more connected to elements of my Hispanic culture, which is why I couldn't think of anyone better to speak to about Dia de los Muertos.
Dia de los Muertos is more like healing, because you remember the loved ones who have passed away, who died. And more than death for us is like remember them all the time and being with them and with their spirit. Mm-hmm. So for us, death is not like feeling bad. It's the opposite, feeling like celebrate that they pass away, but they're still with us. Their soul is with us all the time.
Yeah, their body is gone, but you feel the connection to their
And spirit. We actually, when you were talking the elements, we do the 4 elements when we celebrate Day of the Dead, because El Dia de los Muertos is more like we use the 4 elements. We use the water, the wind, the earth, and the fire. So when you do the altar, all those 4 elements are complement in there. With the 4 elements, it comes to the Aztecs. So they were celebrating this before, it's a long time ago. It's not like a tradition because we got it from the Spaniards or something. No, this comes from the Aztecs. So, because they are the ones who, celebrate. They know their soul, the spirit is here, and that's what they did.
And when you were saying before it's very associated with religion, is it associated with like Aztec religion? Is it Catholicism?
I feel like it was a mix there. I cannot tell you 100%, but what I know is, I know, of course, Aztecs, they believe the 4 elements, they believe on those things, and all combined with the religion too, because we pray. We pray for them. We use the elements, but at the same time, we pray for them, we love them. So I will say that it was a combination there, coming people, the Catholicism coming to America, and the Aztecs, Mayans living in America. It's just like a combination there.
So it sounds like it was its origins were maybe very Aztec, and then the Catholicism influence came, and that's what's melded it into the tradition it is today. How do you mind sharing like what you have done with the four elements?
Yeah,
for
like
your
the
altar?
four elements, I will say the water, we will always put in the altar a glass of water. So you have to give them water
Mm,
to quench their thirst. Wind, that's what we use papel picado, the banners that we use. Because the papel
yeah.
picado, it looks like when you put it, you can feel in the wind that they're coming.
Mm,
The candles, of course, the candles, we always light up a candle for them. When we put their pictures, we light up the candle because we have to, you know, light them to come so they can see, that they're coming. And we usually, my grandmother used to light the candles in a cross. So the cross will lead them to us.
Do you normally have a candle for each
We
ancestor?
do. We put a candle for each ancestor, and we will make sure that it always will keep the candle um, on. How do you say? Like, yeah, light. Yeah, yeah.
Lit?
So, and the earth, of course, the earth, because we live in the earth, we are, we from the earth, we're coming and we're living and we're staying here. So those are the four elements they represent when we do El Dia de los Muertos. And I remember, when I was little, always my grandmother getting prepared for this day, El Dia de los Muertos. We know that November 1st and November 2nd are the days that we celebrate Dia de los Muertos. November 1st, is for the little ones. So I remember grandma, she has little ones to pass away, which, before it was like, there was no like now like medicine stuff. So you always heard like, one of their kids die because they didn't make it through the labor or something like that. So they always have the November 1st for the little ones. So they always, we put the altar, we put like baby toys, we put the picture. If we don't have a picture of the baby, we just put the baby toys. We put like a baby bottle, a pacifier, things that they represent the baby. And then November 2nd, it's for all the days, like adults and everybody. So this is when they come visit us. So we have to have the altar ready for them. So it's a very, it's a tradition, but it's more like about, knowing that they're never, even though they're gone, they're not in our, in our lives. We're still remembering them.
So it's a way of like continuing that connection and that relationship with them. I love that.
And although, it's like, I never met my great grandparents, but I always see their picture in the altar. So it's kind of interesting to see how, now that I'm an adult, and when I was little, I couldn't understand why do I have to have all those pictures in this altar if I don't know these people. But now, when you are like an adult, when you're getting older, oh yeah, it's my ancestors. So always, my grandmother wants to remember their parents and their grandparents. So you'll see many pictures in the altar. Maybe you don't even know who was in that picture, but it's because, it's your ancestors that they have died and they're all being remembered.
That's a really cool way to like let you get to know your lineage for people you didn't physically meet, but if it is that like continued relationship through spirit, they're still a part of your life. And that's a cool way to kind of bridge that, because there's so many relatives that I have no idea.
It's interesting now that I'm thinking and say, well, like kids, they never met my grandmother, but through the pictures, they know who is their great grandmother.
And do you keep the altars up year round, or do you set it up just for the 2 days?
Well, in Mexico, many people they do. Like my father at home, I don't have it. I always do it only for the Day of the Dead, the Dia de los Muertos. But like for example, my father has the altar at home for my mom who passed away a long time ago. So the altar is always year round. It's there. So we change the flowers, we change the candle. The candle always have to be light on. Always.
Always lit, even like at night while
Yes, it's
people are
always lit.
sleeping.
And I remember that from
Yeah.
my grandparents. I was like, why do they have to always have the candle lit? But now I know because it's always like you are always like lighting their way to come, or if they want to be with you, and not even for Day of the, not only for Day of the Dead, like you want to have them all the time with
So they can always find you. That the light is kind of representing the ongoing connection. You know, my grandfather recently passed away, and I was sitting with Wita, which is what I call my grandmother, at her house, and all of my cousins and uncles and aunts were there, and we were celebrating a birthday like about a week after he had passed, which is hard. And I was sitting with her, and she was just like in a very somber, quiet mood, which I think is totally healthy and normal. She was just saying it's so different how we grieve here versus how we grieve in Mexico. And I think she was really feeling, my perception of that is like, I kind of associate Hispanic cultures as being like much more emotive, and it's all out on the table. I feel like in the West, we kind of suppress and hide and like put this face for people to see when it's not really what we're feeling. I was wondering, in your experience, if you had noticed like a difference in the way that people grieve in Merida, in Mexico, and versus here.
You can see the difference here is more like, I feel like in Mexico, we never we don't accept that this person is gone. Here is more like, okay, he is there. He passed away. You know, it's in a better life. He's with God or she's with God. And we understand that, but we just feel like we kind of don't accept it. We just wanted to have them with us all the time. So it is hard for us to think they're gone. They're gone for real. But that's why it comes for this celebration that everybody gets happy when Day of the Dead is coming, because you feel like you're gonna see them. No, you're not gonna see them physically, but you're gonna feel them. You're gonna feel that they're gonna be with you. But yeah, it is hard for us, as I think in our culture, to accept that they're gone. And I feel like that's the difference between the United States. It's more like, okay, they're gone, they're in a better life, and that's it. They kind of close the chapter. We don't do that. It's hard for us to do that. And we know that they're gone, they're in a better life and everything, but we just want to have them forever.
To be honest, like, I think the way that you're expressing that continued relationship after death is more in line with how I've experienced it with the passing of my grandparents. It's like, you know, my grandma Barbara died like not even a year ago, but I feel her maybe more deeply than I did before when I'm like outside. Like the leaves will blow a certain way, or I'll see a certain bird and it feels like, oh, like there you are, you're visiting me. Or like the other day was my grandparents' anniversary, and I was just like sitting outside eating like a lunch that I think they would have liked, and was just like talking to them. And I think that is some of, I just would say, like, I don't think it's maybe that you accept it, but it's like you see that there is this continued relationship that it's not so black and white. Just the physical body doesn't define a person's life or your connection with them, because to me it's more about that spiritual connection that we have with one another that can continue when our bodies aren't here.
And you're right, it happens to me a lot. I mean, after my mom passed away, I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, every time that I have a problem, every time that I always thinking about her, and I always talking to her, and I just so, you know, always telling her, please send me, you know, your blessings, send me. So that kind of helps me, and it gives me like a little peace of mind that I know that she's there and she's looking at me and she's listening to me. So yeah, it's very sentimental.
When we are looking at how Dia de los Muertos is celebrated, you shared a lot about the altar and how that's such a beautiful connection. Do you mind sharing kind of like what those 2 days look like as a whole? Is it like you start in the morning and like the altar, and then does the community do something? Or for someone who's unfamiliar, just like what does that day look like at home? And then after that, I'll kind of lean into, I'm curious about how you've continued this tradition and celebration since coming.
Sure. Well, everybody gets prepared before the November 1st. Like around this time, people is getting prepared because they're gonna cook. People start like getting ready, and it's different in every state. Each state of Mexico celebrates in a different way.
Mhm.
We all celebrate El Dia de los Muertos,
Yeah.
but everybody does it in a different ways. Like for example, I'm from Merida, and we celebrate it one way. Gerardo, my husband, he's from Mexico also, but he's from Zacatecas, and they celebrate in a different way. In my state, for example, we get ready because we know we're gonna cook some special type of foods, which is called it's like a type of like a tamal. It's like a tamal. It's big, and so they prepare that, and when they prepare that, it has to be that type of food only. We only make that food for this time of the year, for Dia de los Muertos. You're not gonna see the same type of foods until next year. So we prepare that tamal.
Got it. So it's sacred.
So when you're talking about this type of tamal, which is called pib, P-I-B, pib in Maya, if I'm not wrong, means like when you do the food underground, because this food has to be cooked underground. It's a tamal that we make. It's a big tamal. If you want to, that's how it look like. And but we have to cook it underground. So it has to be. We put the fire. They put like the rocks, stuff like that, and they underground the food. So what they do, I guess, type of other foods here, mainly like this barbecue smoke. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that's it's a correlation.
This is how we cook the pig.
Yeah.
So when this has to be cooked and prepared by November 1st. But what we do, we get ready for that. We get all the stuff from the store, from the market. Some people, they like to go to little towns to get their food because in small towns, they have all type of, all the ingredients that you will need for that. So on that day, we will, part of the family gets ready for the altar. We fix the altar. We have to make sure we have the candles, we have the pictures of our loved ones that they passed away. We have to make sure we have flowers. The flowers, the cempasúchil. Cempasúchil is the yellow marigold. So that's the one that represents the Dia de los Muertos. That flower is the flower that you will see everywhere in Mexico. And what we do, we have the flower, we have the candles, we have food. The food is getting prepared for our grain, the people who knows how to cook that. Because honestly, now I don't even know how. It's a long preparation, but it's delicious. But
yeah,
some part of the family gets ready with the altar, and some part of the family it's cooking the food. So make sure on November 1st. We have everything ready. Like I said, for the November 1st, it's for the little ones. So we have toys, we have baby bottles, we have everything that will represent what the baby needs for that day. After that, we have in the afternoon, we have to pray. We have to pray before we eat the food. So we put, in this case, we put the food on the altar. We pray a rosary, we pray for, our loved ones who pass away, we name them, and then after that, the whole family gets together and eat. That will be for November 1st. November 2nd, we'll do that with all our family, now all the ones that pass away, little ones and adults. Grandmother used to put in the altar, and we used to still do it. If my grandpa likes a type of beer or likes a type of wine or something, you will put it there for them. Grandma used to love hot chocolate. So now we put hot chocolate for her. My mom loves all type of, bread, pan de muertos, tamales, fruits. You put everything that they like, not only what you cook, but what they used to like. Some, candy, all type of foods, whatever you name. Like if you like, anything, then you put it on the altar for them.
Yeah.
After We pray the next day. We say the prayer again, and we all get together and eat the food that we. So it is just you're having a celebration. You loved ones are coming back. So this is the only 2 days that you're gonna have them to to be with them, to celebrate with them. So that's why we always remember them that way.
So it sounds like it's kind of like a big family dinner where you like actively are like inviting your ancestors and holding space for their spirit to be a part of the meal.
And grandma used to put the candles too. We don't do it, but she used to put a candle behind the doors. And we always ask the grandma, why do you put candles behind the doors? And she said, those candles are for the ones who don't have anybody to remember them.
So everyone is welcome. Since you have been in the U.S., I mean, it's been a while now. Do you do kind of the same tradition, or what has changed in the way you celebrate?
The only thing that I don't do is like cook. One year I did it. My dad was here, and he said, "Well, let's cook the tamale." And I said, "Well, it's a little bit hard here, but we can make it." So what we did is like we got everything here. We tried to do as much as we can, and then after that we baked it. We baked on the oven, and it was good. And actually, it came out really good. So we got the whole altar. So I got the food, the candles, the flowers, everything. But what I usually do here is just to put an altar with the flowers, a candle, and my loved ones, the pictures. And of course, I say I pray and I say I pray a rosary or something for them. That will be the only thing.
Yeah. Do you do some sort of meal without like the traditional tamal, or it's more the altar?
It is more the altar, but I put some type of foods too. I put like bread, or I put hot chocolate things for me to get. Then I do it. Do that. So and it's just always you want to keep the tradition because you don't want your kids to forget about you. When you die, so it's the way.
Yeah, and then they can keep knowing your mother and your grandmother, and through that they can kind of get to know who they are more.
Yes. So it is more about remembering, your family. You have a family. You have ancestors. So just keep honoring them. This is in Merida. In Zacatecas, my husband's, it's a little bit different. He said they don't put the altar. I believe they do, but maybe with his family, they don't. But they go to the cemetery. So everything happens in the cemetery. So they go to the graves, the graveyards, and they do, they clean the graveyard, they put fresh flowers, they light the candles, they eat with them. They will sit there, and there's a lot of people goes and just have like having a picnic at the cemetery. So it is different each state, but we all have the same need.
Yeah,
like we need to celebrate our loved ones who passed away.
I think that this might be my new favorite holiday. I think I'm gonna try to celebrate it.
Yes, and like a lot of people I remember they were like, "Oh, you know what? I don't know why you guys have all these skeletons and all these, sugar skulls. Those are scary." And I say, well, this is not about scary things. It's more about our tradition, and it's more about the religion also, because it comes with a lot with the religion also. So for us, death is not something to be afraid. It's our families they die. And then we try to heal that way. We're healing, remembering them, honoring them.
Yeah, you're healing by honoring that grief and not, pretending it's not there. That this like constant ritual gives you space to heal and bring your grief to the surface and celebrate the lives. And like you said, there's a lot of skulls, but it's so colorful and vibrant. And I think what you've been saying throughout this conversation is like, it's about joy and celebrating these people versus like mourning that they're not physically with you. It's celebrating that their spirit's with you during this time and always.
So
thank you so much for sharing with people about this special holiday, and hopefully those listening, maybe there are like threads of this that you can start to incorporate for Dia de los Muertos to honor your loved ones. I know I'm going to start doing it. And Laura, if you want to make tamal, I would do that
We
with
can
you.
do it.
I'm up for it.
Finally.
Yeah.
We can bake it. We don't have to do it on the. Well, it was a pleasure being here with you. I'll share a little bit of Dia de los Muertos. And if you have any chance to go during this time of the year to Mexico and see it, it is very, very interesting. It is.
I want to take a moment to give an extra big thank you to all of the members of the Dream Team. One of the intentions of this podcast is the spirit of Dana, which is giving from the heart. And that's what the Dream Team does. Members of the Dream Team support the podcast financially every month for as little as $3 a month. And your contributions make this podcast possible. And every month I use some of the proceeds from the Dream Team to support a community cause. If this podcast has been meaningful in your life in any way, if it's helped you, I invite you to join the Dream Team. And even if you can't contribute financially, you can make a big impact by sharing this podcast or an episode you love with a friend, and by leaving a review and subscribing to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform.